Hmm? Ah!
You're listening to the Run for Your Lives podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome to the show. I'm Daphne.
And I'm Pake.
And this is the Run for Your Lives podcast.
This episode, we're talking about the science fiction action film 65, written and directed by Scott Beck and Bryan Woods, released March 10th, 2023.
Ooh, this one has not been out very long, and I know you watched it around the time it came out.
I don't think it was opening night, but like opening week. I went and saw it in theaters right after it released because I was just curious.
Yeah, and hasn't gotten the best reviews, but on this podcast, as you know, we're not really worried about what the reviews are going to be.
Right. One of the main reasons I really wanted to cover it right now is the theater release, even though I went and saw it on theater release, was not super well received. I don't know if it was because of other things that were playing at the same time. I don't remember. Or just wasn't, but it, received super well, but it didn't have a long theater run. Mm-hmm. It was out of theaters pretty quickly. But honestly, why I wanted to cover it is it found a new life on Netflix. It is streaming on Netflix right now, and when it first started streaming on Netflix, it was consistently in like the Netflix top 10 for quite a number of weeks. People were kind of really attaching to it on Netflix. So figured it's a good time.
I think that streaming can, like you said, it brings new life to a movie that maybe didn't get a lot of love at the box office.
Yeah.
Again, we don't have numbers. Like, we don't know how many times it's been viewed on Netflix, but I think that anytime you can get a movie that just needs a little bit of a push, brings it new life, and more people get behind it and enjoy it, it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
This was my first time watching it. I actually watched it earlier this week. Then I also watched it again today, so I've seen it twice. Familiar faces in this movie. But before we get too deep in it, we should discuss the production notes for this one, which go a little bit like this. It was filmed in Bray and Wicklow County, Ireland, and Coos Bay and Gold Beach, Oregon. Beck and Woods, who've been working together since they were 11 years old, wrote the script and the screenplay for one of our other favorite movies, A Quiet Place.
Yeah.
Prior to the eventual release of this movie in theaters, it had been scheduled 5 other times. May 13th, 2022, April 29th, 2022, April 14th, 2023, April 28th, 2023, and then March 17th, 2023. Of course, we got it on March 10th. I have not ever seen a movie get pushed around quite that many times.
Uh-huh.
The budget for this one was $45 million. The gross at the box office was $60.7 million. So while it may have been a bit of a disappointment, it did make all of its money back.
Yeah, it was a success in that way, as it made its money.
Yeah. It was 93 minutes long. Pake, give us a synopsis.
All right. An astronaut crash lands on a mysterious planet, only to discover he's not alone.
Oh, yeah.
In a couple of different ways.
Definitely. I thought overall that this was a bit clever with the title being 65.
Mm-hmm.
Because it didn't really hit me until I was in it for a bit, and then I realized, oh my god, this is about the dinosaurs' extinction. Like, this is the extinction event from 65 million years ago. The one that wiped out all the dinosaurs. We had the Ice Age, like, all of that. And I really got fascinated after I started to realize that, because it's just a different way to think about it than what I've done in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is like showing it from the view of Mills, who is from another planet. He's like an alien.
Yeah.
And I didn't think about that at first for some reason. But then the second time through, I really started to understand things a bit more. And again, you see more on a second viewing than you do on the first one.
Yeah, absolutely. I haven't seen this since I watched it in theaters, and yeah, it's just like even little things, like when his ship is going down and you see it like bounce off the mountain and then go down into the swamps, and I'm like, oh yeah, and there's where the back half detached on top of the mountain and the pod's up there, and like, okay, like I see it happen on the second watch. Yeah.
It honestly reminded me a bit of the movie Alive, because the plane in Alive is kind of like broken a bit, and the way that it crash landed, it just reminded me a bit of that movie. It's one that I think we're going to cover on another podcast at some point. Myself.
That would make sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm surprised y'all haven't already.
I know, right? It fits in with the theme, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we're talking about it kind of in this downtime, because we don't really know how much downtime we're going to get.
Who knows when Yellow Jacket Season 3 will be here?
I know. I know.
Who knows when a lot of things will be here?
I know. So we have to dig into the archives.
Yeah. Other than not to get on the soapbox, we're not going to do it this week. But I did just see before we were recording, there's some people saying, because like the new American Horror Story season is starting, and apparently they filmed a lot of stuff during the strike, and it's a lot of actors who like snuck behind lines to do that. So a lot of people are kind of, boycotting this new season of American Horror Story because there's some actors and crew and people that worked on it when they weren't supposed to. So,
oh man. See, I'm figuring that the only things that we're going to get are shows that had already finished filming and were pretty close to being ready to release and didn't have any actor-related or writer-related anything.
Right.
And
yeah.
So it sounds like maybe I'm wrong and we've got people crossing the picket line.
Seems like there's been a few.
Oh, man. That is a can of worms.
I mean, I will say that's the first I've heard of something like this happening, is now with this coming out. So, I don't know. Just based off of just a post that I saw literally right before we started recording. So, we'll see. But
I was hoping that
I haven't watched AHS in years anyway. I think I stopped after the hotel season. So
I stopped before
it's been a while.
I watched The Circus, and that was my last one. I was hoping that you were going to say, well, I saw a post before this and it's coming to an end. And you didn't. So now I'm disappointed. I want them to get what they are.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, we're in a different world now with streaming. And I think you have to adjust to that. I mean, we have to grow with the times. And streaming has become a full-fledged medium out there now. And you need to reflect that in stipends and residuals that the actors and writers earn.
It's funny. I said I wasn't going to go on it, but here's not really soapbox, but tangent, because we talked about S.S. Wilson with the Trimmer series and stuff. Mm-hmm. And another one that I saw this last week, there's an old WWE wrestler named Maven. He wrestled,
I know who Maven is.
2001 to 2005. And
yep, he won Tough Enough, I think.
Yeah, he was the first Tough Enough winner, joined WWE there. And I was a big fan of his. And so he started a YouTube channel where he's talking about a lot of his time in the WWE at that time and some like little known facts and stuff. And during one of his videos I was watching, he talked about like the money he made and how much money he made in his career and residuals. And like pay-per-views and things like that. And like the residuals off of DVD sales of pay-per-views, where he could make $300-$400 a month just off of DVD sales of pay-per-views that he did years ago. And then the WWE Network started, and now the Peacock deal, and it's all on streaming now. And now he's lucky to make $30 a month off of those same things.
Again, it's time to grow with the times. Yeah. We need to do this. So here's our tangent. You've listened to it. And now we'll get back to the movie.
Yeah.
As you can tell, we're both really passionate because we both love movies so much. And the people who put all this time into work on them, it's really important that they get paid what they're owed and what they're due. And, you know, it's now 2023. It's time to update. It's time for things to grow and change with the times. It's interesting that you pointed that out, though, because that's a different medium, really.
Yeah.
Wrestling.
I don't really think about, yeah.
But it also shows that there's a significant problem, not only with the two that are striking now, but with other organizations.
Yeah, just in general, the way that streaming has changed residuals for performers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a problem. So now we're going to jump back in and start talking about this movie. I was wondering, Pig, has Adam Driver been in any movie that we've covered on here? Because I couldn't remember one.
I don't think so. I think this is our first time having Adam Driver.
Okay.
In the Run for Your Lives universe. However, we do have somebody here, Koa, our young star of this movie. This is not her first time in the Run for Your Lives universe, because we have seen Ariana Greenblatt, who played Koa here, before. She is our little minnow from Love and Monsters.
Yay!
Yeah!
That is one of my top 10 favorite episodes that we've ever done.
Yeah.
She was adorable in it, and she was the sidekick to Michael Rooker's character of Clyde. She wasn't like the main star of the movie, but she was a piece of it, more of a supporting role. So it's great to see her. She's growing up in this industry.
Yeah.
And I liked her character in 65. But we'll talk about her probably second, because I think Mills is our main character.
Oh, absolutely.
That's where we need to start.
Yeah. Of course, while I'm shouting out, like, cast, there's not a huge cast. There's really only, like, 5 people we see on screen at all. But another one I want to point out is Mills' daughter, Naveen. That is Chloe Coleman. This is her first time in the Run for Your Lives universe, I think, alongside Adam Driver. However, I recognize her from a number of things. Mostly, I'm going to call out Upload on Prime.
Mm-hmm.
I love that show so much, and I'm dying for season 3 whenever that's going to happen. And also, she is in the new D&D movie, the new Dungeons and Dragons movie that came out earlier this year as well, which we still may need to cover for fun. We might have to do that.
I think we should. You went to see it with your D&D group, right?
I did. It was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah. I am excited. I have not seen it yet, but I did hear it's so much better than what people thought it was going to be.
Oh, yeah.
So
I had a blast
that makes me happy. Yeah, but you as a D&D player, I take what you think of it, I guess, even more than what someone else who doesn't play would think, because you're more attached to the situation and the story and the characters. So your opinion matters more to me because you're connected to it.
But I think, as far as and we're not covering it right now, but we'll put it on the agenda for some time later. But I will say, if people are wondering about watching it, if you haven't seen it, it's great for a D&D player. There's a lot of nods and like little things. You're like, oh, I know that. I recognize that. But then even if you know nothing about that at all, it still is a great watch. I think it's still like they build a world and they put you in it very well, and they tell the story without you needing all of the extra little fancy things. Yeah.
Because I don't understand much of it other than what you have explained to me. And when you told me some of your little stories and adventures, that's all I know about D&D. And what I saw in Stranger Things. Like, that's it. There's nothing else.
Right.
So I think, I need a movie to be pretty easy for me to get sucked into.
Yeah.
But we're not covering Dungeons and Dragons. We are covering 65.
Yeah.
So.
Now, after 2 different tangents, let's get to the final line that we're going to run on this one, which is, 65. And this is one of those movies, again, we have kind of break down by characters, but it's literally like 92% Mills. And then I might have a few other notes about dinosaurs and extra people and characters that are here, because this is not a Jurassic movie.
No.
However, I'm still coming with the dinosaur guest list.
I'm so glad. And we'll figure out as we go when is the best time to add that in.
Yeah. Of course, the one that I have might not even be completely correct. I'm crediting it to somebody else that posted, because I've seen some other YouTube videos that had different lists, but I'm going with what I found.
Yeah, I have a list myself. I'm really interested to know how they compare.
Yeah, maybe there's some crossover, maybe there's some differences, maybe you got some that I don't, or vice versa, so we'll see. But we will wait to get to those. I mean, we'll talk about some of them as we go through the movie, but yeah. But Mills. And you mentioned off the top that, yeah, it was this, I mean, technically he's like an alien, but also 65 million years ago. This is way before the beginning of mankind on Earth. Like, and so it offers up a really interesting question of, the origins of humankind that there's no answer to, but it's kind of this common universal ancestor idea, I assume, where, our main character, he's human, but he's not on Earth. And like I said, this is way before humans ever existed on Earth. So it's kind of this, it makes me think of like, what's the, Prometheus or, something like that,
Yeah. It even tells you at the beginning, other civilizations exploring the heavens, exploring the universe before Earth. So you're being told this is in the past, but I still, in my head.
Would you say it was a long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away?
Yes, except that it is Earth that we're talking about. So I think it's a long time ago in a galaxy very close.
Well, when it starts, it was a galaxy far, far away.
True. The planet Samaris. We know that it's going to take 2 years, this trip that he's on. So I'm assuming it's 1 year to get there and 1 year to get back. At least that's what I'm thinking. But we get very little, but we do get a little bit of an introduction to Mills and his family. His daughter, Naveen, adorable. Just adorable.
Yeah. So as Chloe Coleman, I've seen a number of things, and she's great. Yeah, just plays that very well. But yeah, we learn she does have some kind of disease, ailment, medical situation. And so in order to cover those medical expenses, that is why Captain Mills here has to take on this 2-year-long transport job. It pays incredibly well, and it's kind of his way to be able to expense whatever treatments and cure and things that Naveen needs. And so that's why he takes this trip, where we learn he's transporting cryogenically frozen passengers. It's kind of, it's interesting. It's like, yeah, they're on vacation. They're like moving to a new place. We don't get, again, there's a lot of questions that are not answered, and I think that's fine. We don't need all of the answers. Right. But they're cryogenically frozen. So it's kind of like these people like go to sleep and then wake up in a whole new, galaxy somewhere in a whole new place. Except these people don't.
You don't.
Yeah. I kind of felt bad for them. It's like, oh, they went to sleep to go on a long trip and then never woke up.
Not good. Not good. And Mills and his wife at the beginning are having this conversation about telling Naveen about this trip, because he's gone off on these journeys before, but they've only been like 6-week journeys. Yeah. And this is a much longer one. And when he finally does start to talk to her about it, she thinks it's because of her, like, and he's like, no, it's for you. It's not because of you. It's for you. So you get to see right away how much, through his interactions with her, how much he really cares about his family. Like, he would do anything for his family, including take this terrible, long journey, which he's the only pilot. If anything happens to him, I don't know who's supposed to fly the ship.
He doesn't, that is a little, it's like he doesn't have a co-pilot for this trip. He doesn't have somebody to like bounce things off with or take shifts. I mean, we see, because when the alert happens, when they run into this like meteor shower, he's asleep, but the autopilot in a spaceship makes sense, but still you'd think there'd be somebody else to share the time with him.
Yeah. I think that it reminded me a little bit of the episode of Black Mirror that we had, where you had two folks taking shifts.
Yeah.
And luckily, this didn't end quite well. It still was sad that it wasn't quite as brutal as what we saw in that episode. Of course, I'm talking about Beyond the Sea.
Yeah, which is this season, which we covered on Strange Indeed. Go check out
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was just going to do that.
Plug.
It's always a contest. Who gets there first?
Yeah.
You should definitely check that out, because if you've seen that episode, you know that you need a little bit extra to just process it, because it's so raw and so dark. You need to talk it out with your therapist, Pake and Rima, over at Strange Indeed.
Yeah. I think we did an okay job.
You did a great job. So we're not sure why these people are on this transport. And I started to think, is this a rogue mission that he's helping them escape from somewhere? Or is it because they're just moving to a new location? Are they wealthy people? We don't ever find that out. We don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, because he also calls it an exploration mission on one of his logs, or like when he's like calling. So yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of unanswered questions that, I mean, at the end of the day, like, don't matter. They don't have any significance to the themes and plot of this movie, so it's fine. But
no. But why would you take a 9-year-old
right
on this mission? It doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, which is why then I assume it's like some kind of like relocation thing for whatever reason. Yeah.
Yeah, but unfortunately he gets in this asteroid field, and it damages the ship, so he has to crash land on a planet. Oh my god, Peg, do you know what planet it was? It was Earth.
Yeah, what they said so on the screen. No.
Yes, they did.
But yes.
The scenery was so beautiful, though. It was even on Samaris, Mills' home planet, and on Earth, it looked really beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people hadn't come around to fuck it all up yet.
Exactly.
Of course, no, I was looking at it because I'm like, I mean, a lot of the shots that they took, yeah, it's like, it's prehistoric, but also those places still look like that today. Like those are... Yeah. Because I was looking at where they filmed some of this stuff, and you mentioned it off the top. But yeah, it was like Ireland, Oregon, and Louisiana. You didn't mention. There was some filming done in like New Orleans and like the swampy areas and stuff around there too.
Oh, okay.
Which, yeah, makes sense. So like a lot of those places still look like they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something visually stunning about this like wetland that, like I said, is prehistoric, yet it does look like that now. But then there's just this half a big spaceship lodged in the muck, which is kind of like, it was really cool, like, to look at and be like, man, just how different that is already to see.
Yeah. And it's not touched by human hand. Mm-hmm. So it's not, like you said, no one has fucked it up yet. It's still very pristine and beautiful and majestic even. And then you get to see Mills's reaction to everything, because he wakes up and he's injured. He's all alone.
Yeah.
And this got very sad very quickly.
Yeah, because he goes to kind of inspect. Well, I know the cryopods had kind of been thrown out, and it showed there was like no life in them, so he kind of knew everybody was dead. But he goes out to inspect this area of Earth that he's in. And with something swimming around in that swamp, right? That's what it made me think of. I've been binging through Star Wars, getting ready for Ahsoka, so that's all that's on my brain anyway. It doesn't hurt that Kylo Ren is in this movie.
I know, I was gonna say, I think he's in Star Wars now, in this new release movies of Star Wars, so... I don't blame you for getting a little bit confused.
Uh-huh. But he has to make this call to report the situation. And it was interesting because he asks for rescue at first, but then he deletes that one and re-records a new one ending with no reason for recovery. Which, I wasn't really sure why he was doing that at first, but the more I thought about it, especially because I'd seen this once in theaters, so I knew what was coming. I knew the reveal that was coming around the corner. I just feel like maybe he had nothing to go back to, is how he felt. I mean, I was like, well, way to leave your wife hanging out to dry there. She probably still needs you. But Yeah, we learned that while he's on this trip, his daughter succumbs to whatever disease she had and did die while he is away. So he's doing this for her to raise money to help her. And while he's in the middle of this 2-year journey, she dies. And now he has to finish the mission knowing she's not alive to go back to.
And he wasn't there for her last moments.
Yeah.
And his wife even says in the message where it is revealed, which is skipping ahead a little bit, she just slipped away. She didn't suffer. She just slipped away. And you have to wonder, in these little glimpses of the little video cards, you see her talking to him and being calm, but you also see these messages where she's angry and frustrated that he's gone. And I think, that frustration takes a toll on your body if that's, what you're dealing with and what you're putting yourself through and what you're feeling. Yeah. And unfortunately, she didn't make it. And you understand when he sends the second message that, everyone died, no reason for recovery. He's going to take his own life. Mm-hmm. That was his plan. And again, like you said, you're going to leave your wife.
Yeah.
Felt
a little, yeah. Because it's just like, why would he still not be rescued and go back to her? I'm sure she needs him, but...
Needs him.
Yeah.
To grieve together, because this is a family. She's still there. You can't just forget, I lost my daughter. You need to go back to your wife.
Yeah.
It's important for her. I can't even imagine you lose your child and then your husband commits suicide.
Mm-hmm. But he does not go through with that, and a lot of it has to do with him realizing his one of the cryopods is still active. Learn that there is somebody in there, so he needs to go investigate that, and that is when he finds this young girl, Koa, who is still alive. And I was like, of course it's a girl. After he lost his daughter, it brings this whole arc of the movie for Mills, where it's kind of his own version of now he has the opportunity to make up for not being there for his daughter. He couldn't do anything to help her, but he can help this kid here.
Does that remind you a little bit of a TV show that just ended a little bit ago, the first season of it?
Yeah.
Based on this video game. I think it's called The Last of Us. Yeah. It's got a similar feel.
Yes, for sure.
To it.
Yeah. So realizing, with her, that he's kind of got this new mission to follow through to get her to safety. He's lost his daughter, but she's lost her parents. Although she doesn't know that.
No, because we have this language barrier.
Yeah.
Between the two of them. Because he is speaking what is our English, and she's speaking Miscat, which is a different language. It's her language. They can't understand each other at first.
Yeah.
So he struggles a little bit and then starts drawing, which I thought was a clever way to start trying to communicate with her, because they really can't. He tries to talk to her. She tries to talk to him. It's just not getting across.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's after, because he knows what he's got to do to help her, but it's a dangerous mission, because even before he talks with her, whenever she's awake, he's realizing that this alien planet, which I guess is, for him it is, poses some real threats. He sees these eggs and footprints. It's like there are life forms on this planet, and they're huge. Then we get these disturbing bones, some very giant skeletons and bones and things, and he knows that there's definitely some formidable threats on this planet. And then he experiences the erupting geyser for the first time. Very hot. Might come in handy later. Who knows?
Yes.
And then he meets one of the locals. Surprise raptor attack, right?
Was that a raptor?
That is a velociraptor. More realistically, velociraptors, because they were actually very small. They're not the size that Jurassic movies give them. They're tiny little creatures. That's why they hunted in packs, because they could bring things down all together versus one thing.
You know what? You know who else can bring things down? Well, but I'm not sure if they were compies. The things that look like compies that took out that baby dinosaur,
I have what those are, but we can get to that when we get to the dinosaur list.
Okay.
At least based off of what I found.
Okay.
These are different. These are not your Jurassic Park velociraptors.
No, I still appreciate them. I do think that the dinosaurs in Jurassic World and in that franchise looked a lot better. But I do have appreciation for these dinosaurs as well.
Yeah. Yeah. But after that attack, then there's another rustling in the grass. Surprise, Koa, run away.
Yep. She is awake. She's out and about. And he runs after her because he didn't realize that she was awake. Yeah.
So he chases after her because, I mean, clearly we don't want her just running around on her own. This is a very dangerous area. As they find this big old dino corpse and something maybe coming back for some snacks. I don't know. Got to get out of there.
Yeah. They're not coming looking for Cheetos either.
No. And that's where we learn, he kind of scans some stuff while he's out in that area before the raptor. Yeah, so there's this escape vessel that's on top of the mountain. He needs to get himself and Koa up there. And we talked, you mentioned the language barrier. She doesn't speak, I'd say English, but whatever it would be called to Mills, because England doesn't exist on Somara. No. So English is probably not what it would be called. I don't know what we don't get it.
The common language. But I called it English because that's what it's coming across. And I did watch with subtitles on, to be able to hear and understand everything.
I always watch with subtitles when I'm doing prep for a podcast. Yeah.
I don't want to miss something. And sometimes there's a clever thing that's included in there, so I don't want to miss it.
Yeah, but so whatever language, we'll go with the D&D aspect again, where it would just be considered common, is what you would call it. Yeah,
the common language. Yeah.
But he ends up lying to her about her parents being on top of the mountain in order to get her to come with him. And then he does resend a new rescue request out because now it's not just him, but her life is also on the line.
Well, the language that Koa speaks, which is Miscat, is a fictional language that they created just for this. It's called Conlanging. It's a construction of a fictional language.
Yeah.
Ariana Greenblatt learned her lines in English first, so she could understand what she's trying to communicate. And then she learned it in Miscat.
That's cool.
Because, they wanted her to understand, the meaning behind what she was trying to communicate. I think that helped because it gave her the opportunity to really use her emotions and her face and her body language to convey the messaging. Even if he didn't always understand it, we in the audience could understand. Although they never put the Miscat language on the screen. Yeah,
that was another thing, is whether you have subtitles on or not, we're in the same boat as Mills. We don't know what she's saying. They don't give any translation for her as well either. So.
But from her body language, you can kind of tell what she's trying to communicate, and I thought that was really good. I think this whole movie is this growth between the two characters, learning to communicate and understand each other, and then coming together to work as a team. Despite the fact he always wanted to leave her behind or keep her in a safe place, she didn't listen, very much like our very own Carl Grimes, who would never stay in the house. Koa didn't listen very well. She, I think, looked at him as the person saving her, and she also wanted to show that when push came to shove, she could also do the saving.
Yeah, so and then most of the movie really is just, it's a journey where they've got to get from the swamps where they were 12 kilometers away to this mountain, get up to the top, because that's where the back half of the ship with the escape vessel is going to be in. So we got to get there. And then also, I did like that he mentions earlier, while explaining things to her in the ship, there's just this little throwaway thing where he was like, oh yeah, and we hit this asteroid cluster and we came down. And it's just and that could have been that could have been a part or a piece of a much larger asteroid, a much larger part.
Mm-hmm.
And then we see Koa later, like, looking up in the sky and seeing the beginning of that, even before Mills notices it, where something is coming. And it's the asteroid. The one that ends the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
They picked the wrong weekend to visit prehistoric Earth on vacation, didn't they?
Yes, they did. Yeah, I wasn't sure Mills was going to make it out of this one. I honestly thought that he might not survive. Just because he was trying so hard to make sure that she was able to escape. I mean, he risked his own life to get her to safety.
Yeah, jumping way to the end. There's a point he tells her, luckily I don't think she understood, launch the ship. Go. Leave me. And then she doesn't. And it's good that she doesn't.
No, and she's very smart. She pays attention to everything that he says to her because she learns about the berries that are poisonous. Mm-hmm. And makes a peculiar type of weapon that works. Mm-hmm. But we'll get to that in a little bit.
Yeah. But yeah, so like I said, a lot of it is just their journey. And I don't have a lot of notes about like a lot of the main journey, other than some stops they make along the way. But we see just a lot of like those typical like little things as they bond and things that they come across. Giant bug goo. Gross and very sticky, right? Or sitting by the river. It's like, does this gash on my torso look infected to you?
Yes, it does. Yeah. And I don't think there's any pharmacy with amoxicillin or penicillin anywhere nearby. So, not sure what you're
haven't quite been invented yet on that planet.
Nope.
But yeah, and then we just see like a lot of like attempts at conversation between the two of them, which could be kind of funny and heartwarming. This like, I'm tired. I'm just tired. I'm just tired. No, I'm saying that I'm just tired. I'm just tired.
I loved how she mimicked him because at one point he was getting like he was all worked up and he's just like he says shit while she's mimicking him, and so she says it too.
Yeah, like
not long after, and I thought it was funny that she is listening to him, and they have that bonding moment where they're rescuing a baby, I believe it was a jackapil, from this mud.
It's like a tar pit kind of thing.
Yeah. They rescue the baby, and it's this great bonding moment until...
And then it walks away, safe, and lives happily ever after. Nothing bad happens to it at all.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Yeah.
Then you watch a different version.
No, hey, shut up. No, we're going with that one. We're going with that version. We're not going to talk about anything else that happened. No.
I was distraught after I saw this. Because to me it looked like compies that just dragged it away and they took it out. That poor little baby.
Which is why in my head version, it walked away and it was fine and everything was happy. The end! Anyway.
It doesn't work that way, Pake.
Yes. If I believe hard enough, it does.
But it also gave her this opportunity. She bonded with him, and then after that terrible thing happened, she kind of clung to him because she was terrified.
Yeah.
When she saw that happen, she realized just how crazy this world is that they're in. So what were those dinosaurs, Pake, that dragged...
Oh, you don't want to wait till we get to the dinosaur list?
Oh, I can wait if you can. It's
Maybe
fine.
Give people a reason to stick around. No.
I did notice that she understands the word run. That was something that works real well. I
have a little note. Again, I don't have a lot of notes about, but yeah, she picks up on English pretty quick, which is a little unbelievable. I'm not going to gripe about it too much because we don't need to spend too long in a sci-fi action movie with an impassable language barrier. That's unnecessary. She gets run. That's fine. That's good.
It's important. And home and family, I think, are the words that she really gets first.
Yeah. And then water. We get, teamwork. Koa fills up the canteen with water. Mills wears the flower to look pretty. Teamwork.
He didn't want to at first, but then he ends up doing it anyway.
I legit laugh on that when she's holding it to him. It's like, what are we going to do? And then it like cuts to like saying they're walking and he's got it in his hair. And I just chuckled to myself because it's adorable.
Because he's really bonding with her. Like it's really starting to happen. And again, the parallels with The Last of Us, it just reminds me about the Ellie and Joel relationship.
Yeah.
It's similar, but it's still different.
Yeah.
Because there isn't the language barrier.
Mm-hmm. Although, in The Last of Us, Ellie does speak very proficiently in pun, which I appreciate.
Of course you do. I had a feeling that you couldn't wait to bring that up, because you are a punisher.
Mm-hmm. But, yes, back to 65. Mills loses the track on the escape vessel, so he's got to climb up a tree to get a new reading on it. And then he falls out of that tree and dislocates his arm because he's trying to get some scorpions off of his hand, which, while watching that, I was like, well, they're whip scorpions, or vinegaroons, as you would call them, colloquially. So he would have been fine. They typically don't bite people. They don't have stingers. I actually had a friend in, like, junior high that had some of those whip scorpions as pets, and they were pretty cool.
Really?
Yeah. The whip scorpion, they're technically not scorpions. They are arachnids. They're more spiders, but they have more of the pincers and scorpion look. And then, like I said, instead of a stinger, they have literally just like this antenna that's like a whip scorpion. Or they're called vinegaroons because they can emit and like spray acid out of their back.
Oh, that could be painful.
Yeah, it's, like I said, they typically don't bite people, but if they do, they're non-venomous. But they hurt like a motherfucker because, they emit that acid and they will spray you with that acid. So it's like, they're called vinegaroons, colloquially, like I said, because the acid makes them smell like vinegar. They just smell like vinegar, which is really interesting. So that's why it hurts so bad, is because if they bite you and emit that acid, it's like spraying vinegar into an open wound. So it's like...
Do you know this from experience?
No, I never got bitten. You? I never got bitten or sprayed by them.
All right, that's probably
luckily. Good. But they're cool, and they glow in black light. So that's fun, too.
Oh.
They're really cool.
I feel like I get an education on this podcast sometimes.
So whip scorpions are really cool, but like, so they make that seem just like, oh, they're on my head. I was like, they wouldn't have bothered you. They're whip scorpions. You're fine.
But when he fell and he got up and he was like shambling around, I thought he looked like a zombie. Like he's like, "Whoa." And I just thought, man, when did this become Dawn of the Dead?
Right. Yeah, so the scorpions weren't really a problem, but yeah, falling out of the tree wasn't great. And then this pack of Nothos, we can call them, the Nothosaurus.
Yes.
Those are much more worrisome. It's a good thing that Mills has a blaster gun and some little bombs.
Yeah, those little bombs are pretty handy, though.
Yeah.
Those are very handy.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, there's the thing on the beach, which with the dinosaur list is confusing because the list I have calls the ones that were on the beach, like attacking Koa, a different dinosaur than the Nothosauruses, but the more I look at the two, I was like,
they look very similar. I think they're the same. It was the same.
Yeah, but
I guess I don't know. I mean, I thought it was the same too, but then when I went and looked at the list and my list had pictures, I'm like,
Yeah, we might have the same one. Did you go to Screen Rant?
Yes.
Yeah, I've got mine is the Screen Rant one as well.
Good. So I know we're on the same page for this.
Yeah. But either way, that's what they were. I'm going with, the Nothosaurus. Which those things were scary looking, honestly. Like when they're like...
Yes. When they're climbing up the rock.
Man. Yeah.
I'm like, okay, when did this happen? They're climbing up rocks. It just... I'm so used to Jurassic dinosaurs, the Jurassic Park, Jurassic World series. Those dinosaurs, the Stan Winston world of dinosaurs, is what I'm used to. So this was...
Yeah, these things were interesting because they're like a Komodo dragon mixed with an alligator mixed with like a dog. They were very weird.
Yeah.
Like the way they like were ambulatory was very unique and interesting.
Yeah. It was almost like people in suits. Like that's what it made me think of. But then it looked too disconnected for it to be people in suits.
Yeah.
So I wasn't really sure.
I think I saw somebody on YouTube call them like CGI Slurposauruses. Or something.
Oh my gosh. Now I'm picturing them down at 7-Eleven getting a Slurpee.
Yeah. I don't know. But yeah, they were fun. I enjoyed the creature creation of those. they definitely did a good job at making them scary.
I think I probably know what dinosaur was your favorite in this one, because I think it's one of your favorite dinosaurs of all.
I don't know.
But I'll wait till it shows up.
Oh, I think, well, yeah, we'll get to them. We'll get to all that. Yeah, but after, Koa survives her encounter with these things, because Mills shows back up, she's very traumatized and needs some time to herself. Just poor kid. Been through a lot already. And then, as they kind of bond again, I have a thought. I was like, it's a good thing that I was watching this all alone at home, because I couldn't do this while I was in the theater. So now I had my chance just at home to where nobody could see me trying desperately to do the whistle thing with my hands the whole time. Because
did you really?
I'm like paying attention to the way that Adam Driver is holding his hands, and I can't do it. I just cannot. I tried so hard. Like literally that whole scene, I'm like going along with it. And
but she does it very differently. Koa does it differently. Yeah.
That way, I'm not even going to try to attempt. I don't know what that is.
It just shows the difference, like, I think, between the different people groups. I mean, different civilizations, different people. They just, not everyone does things the same way. And now Pake is still, you can't see this because the video's not released. Pake is sitting here trying to do it again.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how it works. I'll never figure it out. Anyway.
Yeah, no. When I was doing a little bit of research for this movie, one of the visual effects supervisors had a very interesting quote about it. He said that 65 was a unique opportunity to combine two childhood obsessions, dinosaurs and spaceships.
Mm-hmm.
And, that was from Josh Simmons, who was one of the supervisors. I thought it was interesting because it's not something we commonly see. Can't imagine.
I think it was pulled off really well, because it very much was Jurassic Park vibes. Mm-hmm. But also it was very Star Wars vibes throughout the whole movie too. So I thought it was, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not a Star Wars nerd. That's not my world. But dinosaurs, that's my world. A lot of my notes about this movie are the tiny dino, or the rogue dino, or, different things, because I didn't have the names when I was taking notes. I didn't really have the names of the dinosaurs as I was going, so I was just putting things in.
I did the, dinosaur list very early on in the movie. I paused 10 minutes in and just went ahead and got it compiled and done, because I was like, well, I'm not spoiling anything. I've seen this already, but, I'm going to go ahead and have this list, because I know it's going in my notes, so might as well do it now.
Well, we didn't get a lot of herbivores. It's mostly carnivores in this movie.
Yeah.
Very few herbivores. And all of them were, except for the baby, for the most part, were really treated as being bloodthirsty, crazy beasts. They weren't treated as, we're used to the Ankylosaurus and, Parasaurolophus being, calmer or nicer.
Yeah.
We don't get that in this movie. We get, bloodthirsty, crazy creatures.
Yeah. But they move. Continue to move. Time to move. She's okay with move now. They find this little cave, crevice area, this little area behind a waterfall to hang out and sleep. It's
made me think of The Lost World, Jurassic Park.
Oh, I definitely have a note. A note says, a big old T-Rex recreates his favorite scene from The Lost World, but he doesn't have a snake.
No snakes. But yes. There were a lot of little, I don't know that they were necessarily meant to be Easter eggs. However,
I feel the waterfall kind of was a nod. That had to have been.
The whole time looking at him oh my God. Okay. We're going to go there. We're going to do it. And they do.
Yeah. But he's like, it's safe to sleep now. I put these little barrier alert things up, so nothing can come in without us knowing. Well, except for some horrifying mouth parasite. Holy fucking shit. But, other than that thing, we're fine.
Does that make you want to go cave climbing or exploring anytime soon? I know you won't go cave exploring. No,
I will not go caving
because
ever.
You don't like
I've seen
any of that.
I know better.
Why do I feel like every movie we've ever covered has been like our excuse to never do something?
Right. What better way to use our knowledge of all of these movies than to get you out of stuff you don't want to do?
Yep, I don't want to do that. Claustrophobia that I didn't know I had, but yes, I have it. Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah. But they're hanging out to go to sleep in this little cave indention area. First, Mills is upset that Koa took the projector and the videos of Naveen. It's just a really sore spot for him, obviously. But then he's thinking about... That's where we get the reveal, is because he's thinking about her end and what happened.
And we don't really know how long it's been, right?
No. I know one of the videos she says that you made it halfway. He's halfway.
Yeah. So does that mean he made it halfway to the destination? Which
I think so, which is like 25% months or something. Yeah, because if he was actually over halfway through the mission, the people would be dropped off, right? I would think so.
Yeah, exactly. He should have made it by now.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking maybe at this point he was almost to where he was supposed to go.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know that Earth wasn't where he was going, but I don't think it was where he was going. There's no civilization there. Although if this is an exploratory mission, maybe it was.
Were those supposed to be like the first humans that set up on Earth? I don't know. They picked a bad time to vacation, like I said.
Yes, bad idea. It's a really bad idea.
I had that thought too while she's tying the rope to like pull him up, which that is the most elaborate rope tying I've ever seen. Maybe a little unnecessary, but he says good job anyway. But he's like sitting down there, the level below her, going like, Goa, and I'm just like, that's a really bad idea. Yeah,
because it was a bad idea.
Yeah, but going. What was I talking? Oh yeah, with the projectors and stuff. Oh wait, he realizes what happened or he remembers what happened, and I think he realizes that she's just curious, and he ends up turning it on and letting her watch the last bit of that one, and I think it's just kind of an emotional moment that maybe he needed to. Yeah. I mean, like we don't see him really like get in his feels or kind of. But it's just like, it's something that he needs to work on, letting go, moving on. And so for him to be okay with like, she's just curious about it. Like, why not? Let her. And then it's not like a really sad moment for him. It's almost just kind of like the little bit of that video left. It's a warm memory.
It's something that he can hold on to. Because again, like I said, we don't know how long it's been since she died. So it could still be quite fresh in his memory. And he's just trying to still process it. And then he's faced, as you said earlier, with this girl. I mean, he has glimpses of his daughter throughout this entire movie. And you have to think that some of that is triggered by Koa.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, I mean, I said they're similar ages. I think Naveen was a little older, but not by a whole lot. Just a few years. So yeah, it's a lot that, he's kind of, like I said, it's kind of a, not really second chance, but in a way, it's this way to relieve some of that grief and guilt. Man, grief and guilt have been a major theme on this podcast lately, haven't they?
It really has, and so that's why I think next week we're going to shift a little bit to something that's not quite as intense. But I agree. I feel like grief and it is. This is like 3 movies in a row that, right. I mean, and we did Insidious. Did that?
Well, because I think like Babadook was definitely one. for sure one. And then, I mean, just last week with Bird Box Barcelona, without spoiling that for people who haven't watched it yet or haven't listened to that, like, there's a lot of that within there too. So yeah.
Yeah, we've had a lot of grief lately, so guess what? We're gonna, next week, it might be we may have to go back in time a little bit, but I think we're gonna go with something that might just be a little less on the grief side.
Mm-hmm. But these things I said that he set up around them, they're like proximity alarms. I was like, what? No ray shield? Oh, it's not Star Wars. That's right.
No, it's not, Pig. Bring yourself back into the reality of what this movie is.
Yeah, but what could be setting those sensors off? This horrifying little parasite that Mills zaps and saves Koa from? No. Maybe it's something worse, like some creatures down in the cave. And, like I mentioned, the big old T-Rex recreating his favorite scene from The Lost World.
Of course, he's been dreaming of this for so long.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, gotta run from the big guy, so down into the caves we go, to the Oviraptor.
I do think when they were down in the caves and going through like these really small places and corridors, it kind of gave me a little bit of like Fallen Kingdom vibes when the Baryonyx just walked through and followed them and got to where they were and had been trapped.
Mm-hmm.
Claire and Franklin. It just reminded me a little bit of that. I found that throughout this movie because it was a scene when the meteorites and the asteroid, it was all coming down, that I was thinking of Greenland. Like, it just brought me back to Greenland. Nice.
Yeah, but yeah, they're down there in the caves, and then they kind of get stuck in an area, and Mills is about ready to give up. But now Koa's the one saying to move, which I like the line. He says, I can't move a mountain. But, maybe you can a little bit with some explosives.
Yeah, he uses those explosives to break things apart a little bit, and then smartly gives her the rest of the bag.
Mm-hmm.
And shows her exactly what to do, and she seems to understand.
Yeah. Because, while they're trying to escape through this little tunnel they created there, it caves in, and Mills fears that he just lost Koa. I mean, you see him just, like, so freaked out, and...
He's broken. I think he was just on the verge of giving up, because if he loses Koa, that's it.
Yeah. And then he hears her whistling from outside. So I titled this, Grief to Relief in 60 Seconds.
Yep. Absolutely. And that energizes him to try to get out of there. But it also gives Koa this time by herself.
Yeah. Yeah, because she's off on her own, because Mills stays down in the cave a little longer so he can play with his new raptor friend for a bit,
It's not your mother's blue, dinosaur, let me tell you that.
Yeah. Which, the use of the, projector scanner was really kind of cool down there. I did like that.
I like that. That was a clever thing.
But yeah, and then Koa's off on her own, and we'll talk about that later. Yeah. Because when they do reunite, the asteroid is coming. His scanner is picking up on an imminent collision, and there is now a countdown clock to get to the escape vessel. Which they get to pretty quickly, pretty easily. They get to the escape pod, but then crash down the mountain because of the meteors. They kind of caught up with all that.
And that made me think of Jurassic Park, when in the first movie, when the Jeep goes from the tree and it goes boom, boom to the ground. Yeah.
Yeah, and now they can't launch because they're upside down. So it was really nice of the T-Rex to show up and try to flip them over. It was real nice.
So good, right?
Mm-hmm. And then we wind up with one man, one gun, one T-Rex. Shit. Make that one man, no gun, two T-Rexes.
Yeah, and what do you do in a situation like that?
Well, he does get the gun working again, but a lot of help from Koa, who uses that hologram of Naveen to distract the T-Rexes. So he gets the gun going again, and then, damn, that gun is powerful. Headshot T-Rex down. One shot like that. I was like,
I know.
Well, and then he guns down the second one. It takes a couple more shots, takes a little bit more, but he does kill the second one after it remembers to go back and flip over the ship. It was just helping. I don't know why he had to kill it.
I know. Don't you know, in the Jurassic world, the T-Rex is so helpful.
He's so helpful. Because you saw that, like, it's like, oh no, my friend's dead. I should be grieving, but I'm going to make sure to go back over here and flip over the spaceship so these people can leave. And then he gets killed anyway. It's so sad.
I'm going to die, but let's get you out of here. Yeah, no, that's not. Yeah, no.
But, yeah, all looks well. Time to launch. Except, here comes the big bad. Fasolasuchus.
Yes.
Known as the biggest non-dinosaur. Possibly one of the biggest non-dinosaurs. It's like a theropod.
Yeah.
It's actually I'm not a super dinosaur nerd, so I don't know what exactly all of the details scientifically that constitutes what is or isn't a dinosaur, but technically it is not a reptile or something. I think there's something that makes it different. I don't know. Or bird. There's like a bird thing or reptiles versus I don't know. Not going into all that. I didn't even try. But from little thing that I saw, apparently this is like one of the largest non-dinosaurs. That's why it doesn't end with Saurus. It is Fasolasuchus.
Yeah.
But it chases Mills out to the gas swamp, which he leads it directly into a geyser, which just pisses it off.
Yep.
But then Koa and what I called the big old tooth comes in, and it's this mix of the poison from the berries on the tooth, and mostly a direct hit from another geyser that leads to that big old silly goose getting cooked.
Yep. Thanksgiving dinner is ready. Way early.
Yeah. Very, very early.
Yeah. Koa really paid attention, so she was able to help. Again, I feel like she helps a lot in this movie. Even though he tries to keep her safe and that is his focus, she doesn't do a very good job of listening.
Mm-hmm. And then the movie ends pretty quickly. I mean, they get back to the escape vessel, they launch right into space as the asteroid hits the planet. Last second escape, and then it's kind of like, oh, the rescue vessel knows where we are. They're on their way. Who knows how long it will take them to get there. I assume it's not going to be like a year or two. How are they going to survive in that little escape pod for that long? I'm sure there are other people closer by who got there.
That can pick them up.
But we don't really know what happens. I assume he probably takes her back, maybe adopts her. There's all kinds of stories that you can tell after. Who knows?
But we don't need a sequel.
We don't need it. No, absolutely not. Let's just say the stories you can tell afterwards can just be in your own head canon. Whatever you want to happen happens. We don't need to know for sure. It's
right.
Fine.
Leave it alone.
65. 66. No, it doesn't work that way.
No, it doesn't.
Means.
65 works better.
But, whatever. But yeah, that's where it ends for Mills. Got other character notes, not a lot, but a few. But maybe you've got some more thoughts on...
We gotta talk about Kylo.
On Kylo Mills.
We gotta talk about her little trip.
Yeah. All right, so you're good on him. So yeah, I've got a little bit of her. Again, talked about just the casting and stuff. She's very much just a kid. Throwing berries at Mills and mimicking him behind his back and then sometimes in front. But then you see when he does the, like, don't eat kind of thing, and he does, like, it goes down to your tummy and it's poison, and he does that, like, blah, 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 blah. And you can tell, like, she can't help but crack a little smile at him being goofy. Like, she's still very, like, a kid, where she's, like, kind of putting on this, like, sassy kind of thing, but then, like, you're gonna make a kid laugh if you make stupid noises enough. Like, it's gonna happen. Of course
you are. They can't help themselves, and it's gonna be a belly laugh.
Yeah.
Like, that's just what it's gonna be.
Yeah. Also, that little device that he has that, like, can tell you if what you put in it, like the berries, because then he puts the water in there, and it's like, well, the water's safe to drink. But, like, it tells you that the berry was poisonous or not safe to eat. Like, that's a really helpful thing. That's pretty cool, right? Let's have that for real. I think there are things that are, like, sort of like that, but not to that degree. We haven't quite hit that yet.
No, it might have been really helpful for the girls on Yellow Jackets to have out in the wilderness.
Yeah. And then we talked about, the baby Jackapil. And it's wonderful, happy ending, and I will take nothing else.
Okay, well, what were those other creatures called?
You keep asking me this. We haven't got to the
Okay.
dinosaur list yet.
Okay, that's
Patience. It's like
I have none.
it's
You
like
know I
Christmas
have no
of this
patience.
episode is the dinosaur list, and it's not even gonna be
Okay.
that interesting
Okay.
because I've said
All
a lot.
right.
But that one I'm gonna make you wait for.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't really have a lot of notes that I haven't talked about yet.
We have to talk about Koa and the tree trunk.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm trying to see if I have anything else before that. Not really. Like I said, I talked about her getting dragged away by the one, like, Nothosaurus. Or maybe it's not a Nothosaurus. Maybe it's something else on the beach. I don't know. The big old tooth. Poison tips it. Holy survivalist child, Batman. And then, yeah, so the log. Koa gets clever girled.
Yes. Yes, she does.
Luckily, like I said, these velociraptors are much more realistic, so they're much smaller. Still deadly, though, but she can run away from it.
Yeah, well, she traps one in a tree trunk, and it's so cool how she, the raptor goes into the tree trunk, and she jumps up and smashes down one side, and then runs to the other side and smashes it down.
Mm-hmm.
And then throws in a few presents.
Yeah, she can easily dispatch this raptor with a couple of foot stomps and a few bombs. Got it done.
Yep.
And yeah, Mills is running after her screams, and then he jumps right into a quicksand pit. So after she takes care of the raptor, she heads to him, and look who's saving who now.
Well, I feel like she did that a few times, so
Right.
this is just another indication. While I don't think she could have gotten out without him, I also think he couldn't have escaped without her.
Oh yeah, if it wasn't for her right there, that would have been bye-bye Mills in the bottom of the quicksand pit.
Yeah. Again, quicksand always takes me back to the never-ending story, and I still am not over Artex, so...
The pit of despair.
Yes.
But yeah, not a lot of other stuff to talk about her after that scene, other than, like I said, the elaborate rope tying. And then when they do reach the escape vessel, rescues on the way, we get the connection there. And things seem to be in very working order. And then Mills' lie kind of catches up to him a little bit, where Koa realizes her parents are not on top of that mountain. Luckily, though, for all of us, I think for her, for Mills, and us watching her, like, okay, don't drag out the plot too much. She's quick to forgive. There's definitely this bond that has formed between them where I think she sees what he was doing. It wasn't this, like, because he even says, like, he realized, like, you're mad at me, and my own daughter died. The last thing I heard before her, she was getting mad at me, and it's just like but I think she sees his intentions, and it was just like, I mean, a lot of it is this language barrier of, like, what does she understand? Then I will take that and run with it. Whatever I can say to get her to safety.
I think she can feel, too, that he's being genuine.
Mm-hmm.
Like, in his body language, in his face, and his words, even if she doesn't fully understand them, I think she can connect with that.
Yeah.
And that helps her to understand that whatever it is, that his intentions were good. He wasn't doing it to be mean. He was just trying to get her where they needed to go.
Yeah. All right. So, so that's all the notes I have on her. I was trying to think if I have any other notes at all on characters. I had like a little Naveen section, but I think I threw in all of that already. Other than, it's okay, Naveen, I can't do the whistle shit either, so you're fine. But then she even learned, so whatever. I guess I'll just never know.
There's gotta be something out there. Like, it can't be real. Maybe it's not real, Peg. Did you...
Oh, I've seen people I know people who can do it.
Then maybe they can show you?
Maybe.
Or will they not show you because it's some sort of trade secret?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Maybe I just need to get with Adam Driver and he can teach me. That'll be fun.
Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't reach out to John Oliver to have him help you connect because they've had this thing, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then let's see what else. The video messages that Naveen was sending to her father to kind of keep him updated was just heartbreaking. My heart was definitely like, it starts out like super cute and sweet. And then as you keep watching them, because we get it through Koa sitting and watching them, and it just gets sadder and sadder. We see her being frustrated with him being gone, and then we see as her health starts declining pretty quickly, and we kind of assume where it goes from there, even before it's revealed fully. And yeah, it's just really sad.
Yeah, it was definitely sad to watch him deal with that grief while he was trying to help Koa. And you could tell, when he breaks down when he's in the cave and he just puts his hands over his face, and you can tell he's at a breaking point. He can't take any more. Things are just, he's trying to reconcile all of this. And you just realize, it kind of reminded me of like the Gift of the Magi, where the husband does something to buy something nice for the wife, and the wife does something to buy a nice gift for the husband, but in doing so negates the gifts that they gave each other. Yeah, it's interesting. And so I think he's out there and he's doing this to help his daughter who passed away.
Yeah.
While he was gone. And it also reminds me of another horror movie, but I'm not going to say what it is because I don't want to give away the ending.
Gotcha. But yeah, those are all the character notes that I have.
Those are pretty much all that I have. I did want to talk a little bit about the effects and the dinosaurs, which I think is where we were going anyway. So there's this company called Framestore, and they did the visual effects for most of this. And they have like a laundry list of movies that they've done before. They've done Knives Out, Guardians 3, they just did Barbie. But then they also did The Tomorrow War, Army of the Dead, Dexter New Blood.
Nice.
And Moonfall. And the list is like hundreds of movies. There was another thing I wanted to point out, though, too, is like the spacecraft itself. There's actually companies that provide these to movies. And so this one company, Scroggins Aviation, they made the escape vessel and some of the other props for the spacecraft. They've done some other cool movies, including like Moonfall again. Spider-Man, No Way Home, and Wakanda Forever.
A lot of like the aircraft and stuff in Wakanda, and like Black Panther, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really cool.
All right. Well, all I have left is the dinosaur list.
Yay!
But you said you pulled the same one, so you should have what those things are as well. I don't know. You keep asking. But just the list. This one comes from Screen Rant, like I said. So, and I point that out because I've seen some differing things, and some of them I'm like, I'm not sure, but I don't feel like doing any more extra research, so I'm just going to take what they said. But then also I'm crediting them because I will throw in a couple of like little tidbits and stuff that they said. So that way the information that I'm saying is not from my own brain. Give Screen Rant the credit. But yeah, so I'll read a couple passages here. It says 65 boasts an incredible number of dinosaurs and prehistoric animals to add to the excitement and danger of the sci-fi thriller, though it should be noted that several are more inspired by them than based in reality. Whether the way they look or the time periods that they're in. I don't have little notes on all of them because some of these speak for themselves. First, Tyrannosaurus Rex. Yes, obviously. It's almost like you can't really do a dinosaur movie and not have a T-Rex, right?
Of course not.
The next one is the woolly mammoth. We only see them as skeletons. And then at the end, in the end credits, we see some in the Ice Age as it kind of like as a time lapse. Which the reason, that's not the word I'm looking for, reason, no. The fact that we see the skeletons near the geyser is kind of weird because, the T-Rex might have lived 65 million years ago in the late Cretaceous period. But woolly mammoths did not appear until millions of years later in the Pleistocene period.
Yeah. There was some, they took a few liberties, I think. Yeah. With that.
So here's the one that's like, I feel like they could be the same, but Screen Rant separated the two. So there's the Nothosaurus, like I said, which they first appear when they're in the forest. They're the ones that kind of show up after Mills falls out of the tree. And then on the beach, the ones that are climbing all over the logs and the rocks that she's on, they say is the Deinosuchus. But they look, which Deinosuchus is just, prehistoric alligators. They're alligators or crocodiles. Like, that's what they look like. So I don't know why so I think were just more nothosauruses that caught up from out of the woods. I don't think they...
Yeah. I wondered about, there were some pterosaurs, which...
Yes.
It's funny because I also, in addition to looking at the Screen Rant article, I went and looked at the site, which is called Dinosaur Facts for Kids. Mm-hmm. And they had a few different
Yeah. So, like I said, I looked at a couple different things. I think I looked at that one and then like a YouTube video. And there was different things in all of them. So what's exactly true, I'm not sure. I mentioned the Fasolasuchus, which is the big one at the end. The velociraptors. Yeah. You don't have to explain them too much. They're smaller. Yeah, a couple of pterosaurs. The first one, the ones that are on the beach when Koa is hiding and then sees them on one side, so she moves around to the other side. I don't know how to pronounce this. It's a Sungoripterus, something.
Yes.
They're the pterosaurs with the giant heads.
Yeah. And this Dinosaur Facts site, too, thought that they were actually Quetzalcoatlus.
Quetzalcoatlus is way, way, way bigger than that. We see the Quetzalcoatlus in... Was it Fallen Kingdom, or was it all the way in...
I think it was Dominion.
But yeah, either way, because we see one over the plane. Yeah. Yes, because Quetzalcoatlus... Giant pterosaur, which I am a big fan of those bad boys.
You are a huge fan of that. Yeah. But this is the only place that I found that listed.
But Quetzalcoatlus is on my list, but I think it's more of an off-screen thing, because we see when they begin walking, there's this pack of pterosaurs that are flying over them, and then something attacks them from above. Mm-hmm. And Mills turns to Koa and says, keep moving. And so I think there was a Quetzalcoatlus up there in the sky, but we don't know for sure.
Maybe in the deleted scenes, Pake, there are other dinosaurs that we don't know about yet.
Maybe. I don't know. But yeah, so whatever the other pterosaurs are, there's something, I think the YouTube video named them, I didn't write it down, but I have Quetzalcoatlus on the list, but I don't know if we really saw something that big.
Yeah.
Next would be the Parasaurolophus. That's the corpse that they run across, rotting there in that little area, is what that was.
I didn't think that was very well done.
It's quite big.
That Parasaurolophus, I did not. Yeah, that was one of my... That prop doesn't look very good.
Yeah.
Maybe it was CGI, but I don't think... Yeah. I don't know.
We talked about the Jacopil, which...
so cute!
Is apparently it was first discovered only within the last 10 years or so. It is a newer discovery in dinosaurs. And the one that appears in the movie is a baby. Despite looking kind of fearsome, it has kind of a T-Rexy face, kind of a carnivore face. They are herbivores, or were herbivores, when they roamed in what is now Argentina in the late Cretaceous period. But they did have some carnivorous features, even though they were herbivores, that they could act kind of territorial when threatened. They knew how to, defend themselves with some teeth if they needed to.
That's good, because we all know how bad that can get.
Mm-hmm. And then I have what attacked the young Jacopil, but I'm going to skip over that one.
Why are you going to do that? The Jacopil reminds me of a dinosaur in Jurassic Evolution, the game. That little teeny dinosaur that's in that game. That's what it reminded me of, because it was so little. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about. I don't remember what that was called, but yes.
And they were ones that were always escaping and getting grumpy.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
In the cave sequence, of course, what he's fighting down there in the cave, the Oviraptor. And then just a couple of other things. We get some prehistoric beetle, giant beetles the size of a freaking shoe. The pseudoscorpions is what they call. They were whip scorpions. that they actually and then some unknown parasite. That was a really freaking tense scene that I did not like.
Oh, that was so bad.
All right. And then that's all, unless I want to go back to the one that I figured you'd have on your list. But on the Screen Rant list, the small turkey, like compy kind of ones that were flocking in a group, the pectinodon is what they were referred to as.
Yeah, they are not nice. They're like compies, but they're uncompies. I mean, compies are scavengers, but these guys were much more than compies. I know that in a couple of articles they were crediting them as compies, and they're just not compies.
No.
They're a different dinosaur.
But,
Plus, I think that the creators of this movie would not go down the road of recreating many of the dinosaurs from Jurassic Park or Jurassic World, the ones that we've seen. So, yes, a T-Rex, yes, a Velociraptor, those are more common.
Yeah. But
all of these other ones are not so common.
I feel like they probably purposely picked dinosaurs that have not been seen on screen before and tried to avoid the, like, big dinosaurs that you see in the Jurassic movies all the time.
Yeah. I think so too. I honestly think it was a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
One other thing I noticed about this that's unrelated to dinosaurs, but I thought was really strange, is it took them about 17 minutes to get to the title card.
Mm-hmm.
That isn't something that I notice in movies. Like, it's not something that's common. That I've seen, anyway.
Yeah. But it was a cool way that they did it, because it was like the 65 came up, and then it was like million years, ago. And then it was like on planet Earth. And then Earth comes up as like, he's like dragging her across the swamps, back to the ship. And it's kind of like as to set like the location. Earth is underneath him so it's to show you that's where we are. So I thought it was cleverly done.
Yeah. And you look at it and then you start to do the math in your head. And I just start, as things started to piece together, realize that what we're actually watching is not just this story of them coming together and escaping from this planet, but we're actually seeing something that's been talked about in history classes for years.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the extinction. It's an extinction level event.
Yep.
That wiped out the dinosaurs.
Mm-hmm. And that's all the notes I've got. Tapped out.
Actually, I have one more thing. So Michael Giacchino, who is familiar to us because he directed Werewolf by Night, he was involved as a consultant on the score, but it was actually Chris Bacon, who is someone who's worked with Danny Elfman.
My favorite kind of bacon. I don't like it too floppy. I like good crisp bacon.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So Chris Bacon was involved in the actual score creation. I didn't know that a piece of meat could create scores in movies. Yeah. That's something new. According to you. Yeah. I mean...
It's a talented piece of crisp bacon.
Evidently. So I think we did it, Pake. We made it to the end.
We made it. Over 65 million years we did it.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Oh my goodness. And the Spinosaurus has arrived. There he is. Finally showed up.
My god. There he is.
He made the appearance. No, that is not a Spinosaurus. I guess fortunately. That is our feedback phone, so let me get to it. Alright, we do have one piece of feedback this week on this movie, 65. Comes to us from Michael, who says, "It was like Last of Us with occasional dinosaurs instead of occasional zombies."
Yeah. I think I said that a couple times. Yeah. I think I did.
It's astute. Yeah, no, because we talked about, the Last of Us connections, and then, I don't know about the zombie part, but, but the familial connections, definitely.
Yeah, we also did get feedback from Alma Contreras. Ooh. She says, "I really like this flick. It kind of tripped me out. Or maybe I shouldn't have smoked before watching it. LOL. I look forward to hearing what y'all thought about it."
Sounds like a fun way to watch it. Might have to try that. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, no, I'm glad you enjoyed it. And hopefully we did illuminate some of the stories in the stars.
I hope so. I feel like we had a good conversation. So, if you would like to leave us feedback, You can do so by finding us on Facebook and Instagram at Run for Your Lives Podcast. You can find us on the X or Twitter or whatever it is at RFYL Podcast. No one really knows what
it's Twitter forever. Just accept it.
I accept it. They're just
never going to make X happen.
No. It's like fetch.
Yeah,
it's never going to happen. You can email us at runforyourlivespodcast@gmail.com. And if you're enjoying the show, tell all your friends. We are available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, pretty much all other podcast players, including YouTube. Go to runforyourlivespodcast.com for all the links you'll ever need. Give us a review on Apple Podcasts, as that is the best way. Share the love. Get us out there even more. We really appreciate it.
Yes, we do. Absolutely. And speaking about sharing the love, got to give some shout outs to things going on in the podcast universe around us. My other podcast, Strange Indeed, still on hiatus. I think we've officially decided we're just going to wait until October when the Fall of the House of Usher starts, and then we'll definitely jump into that, covering that. Because anything we wanted to do kind of in the between time would have ran over. We're not about that life. Since we did it like last year and had like 3 shows on top of each other. It's fun, but it's a lot of work. Yeah. So we'll hang out till October and then come in real hard with some good Flanagan stuff. So I'm excited for that. So stay tuned. But for the rest of Podcastica, lots of great stuff coming up. Lots of stuff for me to listen to this weekend, and I'm excited for that. Podcastica, starting, of course, new Star Wars series. We got Jonathan and James coming back over with the Star Wars TV cast, talking about the new Ahsoka, which I'm super, super excited about. Watched the first 2, loved them. So, yeah, I'm excited to listen to some more Star Wars. Oh, and Kristen is joining them on that as well. So, make sure I mention that. Jonathan, James, and Kristen on these first 2 episodes of Ahsoka. And then the cast of us this week had a special love letter episode to Lucy. She deserved just a lot of great words and love. And so they gave a lot of the episode to that, which was great to listen to and be a part of. And then also the big part underlying that is, of course, the new Daryl series is starting for the Walking Dead universe. So they'll be covering that over on the Cast of Us, formerly the Walking Dead cast. So yeah, definitely check that out if you're a Walking Dead fan when Daryl starts soon.
I'm super glad that Lucy and Jason are going to be covering that together, because Ben did a great job running the roundtable hosting for Dead City. But there's just something special about Jason and Lucy coming back to talk about a show within the Walking Dead universe.
And of course, Podcastica also going through White Lotus with the White Lotus. Welcome to the White Lotus podcast. Kind of a revisited thing, but looking at it from a first-time standpoint. And yeah, going through those. So they're in season 1 right now with episode 4 up this week. And that is Jason, Jenny, and Randy over on that one. Speaking of revisited, they're closing the door on Lost pretty soon. Just a few episodes left in this final season. And then they're moving on to Ted Lasso. So definitely check out Ben and Kristen with the revisited there. Love me some Ted Lasso. It hasn't been over so long, but time for a rewatch. Always time for it.
I know. There are specific episodes that I like to go back and watch just because they just make you feel a certain way.
Yeah, there's some real good, like, feel-good episodes of that show, for sure. And then lastly on Podcastica, I got to give some love to Good Omens as well, the joint effort between Podcastica and TV Podcast Industries. So Derek and John covering Good Omens on both of those. Yeah, still loving it. It's the penultimate episode, episode 5, up this week. So only one more after. I'm sad it'll be over again.
And who knows when it will come back, because we are still in the middle of this writer and actor strike.
Yeah. And then over TV Podcast Industries, their own feed, of course, also covering Ahsoka over there as well. Give you some more Star Wars love. But people can always come back here. Next week, we're going to have a show for them. What are we doing next week, Daphne?
Well, when a giant mutated reptile wreaks havoc in the sewers and streets of a major city, a determined police officer and a herpetologist race against time to stop the beast before it claims more victims. We are discussing the 1980 film Alligator, which was directed by Louis Teague and stars Robert Forster and Robin Riker.
Yeah, you mentioned a little bit that we've had a lot of really serious kind of movies, talk a little more in depth about some serious topics, or just heavy material on screen. So yeah, Daphne keeps a little stowage box somewhere of these kind of just crazy 80s and like goofy monster movies to relieve the tension and just have like a real fun conversation about just like a cheesy or over the top movie. And so yeah, it was exciting to jump back into that.
I always have something stowed away, just in case we need it, to pull it out at a time that we need something to decompress with. And I feel like this was the time for us to do it. We needed a break from the seriousness.
Yeah. So if you've seen it, let us know what you think. We'd love to hear from you about this. I would say like classic, but no, because I'd never heard of it until I watched it. So
just because you hadn't heard of it doesn't mean it's not a classic, Pake.
Could be. Sure.
I have so many more, too, to bring out. This is just one. Or two, the second or the fifth of many.
Mm-hmm. All right. But yeah. So if, like Daphne, you know this one, you go back to Alligator, then check it out. Or if you've never seen it, check it out for the first time. Find it. I don't think it's streaming anywhere directly, but you can like rent it on Amazon. So it's like $2. So go check it out and let us know. I love feedback.
And if you have Shudder, it is on Shudder. That's where I watched it.
Perfect.
With that, we've reached the end of another episode. Thanks, everyone, for listening. I'm Daphne.
And I'm Pake.
And if you have to run, you better run for your lives.
Bye-bye.